Well, I'm part of the PUMA family already for 37 years, so I'm one of the oldies, but hopefully goodies. Ultimately, the best you can be, whatever shape or form that is, and whatever choosing profession you have. Mine was tennis, and I was lucky to live my dream, playing the sport that I love, and be able to win quite a few tournaments. Longevity is also part of greatness. Not to do it once, repeated times, many times over. Winning Wimbledon the first time was almost impossible. Winning it the second time was impossible. I was able to do that. The only thing I was always trying was to be the best that I can be. That's the most difficult thing in sport, is that giving yourself the best chance without giving up too early. When you win so much at such an early age, the question is, where's the motivation? Where's the reason to get up again next week and next year? But for me, it was always the passion for my sport. I love tennis and I love the competition of it. The result of a tennis match is really only possible if you're a good competitor. So that's always first, that you have to like the fight. After matches I've lost, sometimes I've learned more about myself than after matches I've won, because the pain of losing was sometimes greater than the enjoyment of winning. You take winning for granted, especially when you win a lot. So the losing part is something you want to forget quickly. I've played around 1,000 official matches, and every match always starts at 0-0. To play the final is easy, but to play the first round on a windy, cold day on court number 11 is difficult. So in order to reach the final, you have to win the first round. So some of these early rounds were more important to me than once you're in the semi-final final, because then the tournament's already very good for you. Yes, you would obviously remember the Grand Slam finals. Some of them I won, some of them I lost. But to be part of a Grand Slam final is big for a tennis player. I'd like to remember the Davis Cup, against Sweden in the final a couple of times, against America, against John McEnroe. That was special. It was great to be part of the Olympic Games for any sportsman or woman. I think that's the ultimate challenge, the ultimate competition, not only to play, but to be surrounded by unbelievable athletes. And to be part of such an elite, I think is the biggest honor. It was definitely the longest match I've ever played. It was for many years the longest match played of all time. 6,042 minutes is bloody long. I mean, you think about what you can do in 6.5 hours during the day. And what you do is you're on the same court, sharing the court with, in those days, an ultimate rival and an opponent called John McEnroe. You couldn't find more different guys. Background, personality, playing style, temper. And to play against him and 70,000 Americans rooting for him and booing me was even more difficult. I like difficult challenges for some reason. I strive in them, and obviously it was a great moment of satisfaction, winning the match point and then raising the German flag and showing the 17,000 Americans who won. Winning one Grand Slam is very difficult. Winning 3 is very, very difficult. Winning 5 or more, just a few players in the history of tennis have done that. So we have 3 players winning 20 each, Djokovic, Federer and Nadal. That level, very difficult to reach for any young player. So they shouldn't be thinking about that. They have to think about their own game, their own form. Again, what I said earlier is just try to be the best that you can be, because nothing else you can do. It's very difficult to compare generations. The 60s were different to the 70s, to the 80s, the 90s. Rackets were different, shoes were different, tournament scheduling was different. So I find it hard to say Djokovic and Federer and Nadal were better than Lever or McEnroe or Borg. I would have loved them compete against each other. But have Nadal play Borg with a wooden racket on clay, or have McEnroe play Federer on grass with the same tools. Yes, you can call these 3 the most successful players of all time, but I wouldn't respect all the great players in the history to say one was definitely better than the other one. You don't know. Having match point at Wimbledon 1, I felt something is different now. I felt if I win that point, my life will definitely change. When I hit the serve and won, and people looked at me differently, from my parents to everybody else. They had a different look when they saw me, and that's when I knew my life has changed. So I call that a great moment.